That's
So,
okay.
and I just plugged in so it didn't lose battery. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah. Hi,
unbelievable.
everyone. Hi. I hope people are coming in here, coming to say hello. I don't have the live chat set up. We have Christy, the amazing woman behind this whole endeavor here, controlling everything. But I want to say hello and welcome to the live stream. We have Michelle Falanga here. Michelle, you want to say hi real quick?
Hi, everyone. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun, and I'm hoping to get through everything. There's a lot to get through today.
Sure.
We don't have too much time, so we're gonna buckle in, and we're gonna just hit the ground running as quickly as we can here. So we'll wait a couple minutes just until we hit actually 11 o'clock. Give people enough time to hop in here, but I'm really excited about this. Your voiceover website is a huge part of your business, and it should be treated properly. How is how are things over there in the Boston area, Michelle?
It's been cold. It's been like 30 degrees. We had a couple warm days that were sneaky, and then it went freezing again. So
Oh, okay, gotcha.
there's a delay.
Yeah, well, I'm now in Kansas City after being in Minneapolis, so I would
Yes.
have been experiencing that kind of thing, but it's beautiful today. It's like 75 degrees today.
Oh my gosh, I'm jealous.
Marion Mills, welcome. Cindy Burns, welcome. Annette Gomes or Gomez, excuse me if I pronounce your name wrong. I'm so happy you have hopped in here. This is going to be a fun presentation, a quick, speedy presentation, but we're gonna hit some big topics here. Yeah, the weather is so nice. I'm feeling good. Last night we passed a really important bond bill here for public schools in Kansas City, and it's going to positively affect my two little boys. So it's a
that you
happy
were
day.
working on that. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I think we should hop in here. We should get things rolling. All right. So, welcome to this presentation. Welcome to Building Doors Live. We are on the LinkedIn Live section of Building Doors for the month of April. So excited. And I'm your host, John Lano. And today we're going to be diving into your voiceover website. As much as we can, there's so much I would love to cover. I'd love to sit here for 5, 6, 10 hours and talk about your voiceover website, but we're here for a little bit of time, so we're gonna cruise through this. I'm also so thrilled to be joined by Michelle Falanga, who is my guinea pig here, who's willing to let us look at her website and do some things to hopefully improve her website. Hey, Michelle, by the way, could you mute your microphone? I think I'm hearing maybe a little bit of echo.
Is that good?
I still hear you. Can you mute? Yeah, I'm hearing a little bit of echo.
I got you. Hold on.
There we go. Perfect. All right. So Michelle, who I'll welcome back in here to speak again, actually a little bit later on, but she is so kind to let us look at her website and hopefully make some improvements to her website, at least some suggestions. She can take them or leave them. We'll see what she decides. So I want to say that we want this session to be interactive. Christy Harst is kind of running the show behind the scenes here. And so she will be watching the chat, especially on LinkedIn, or obviously because this is on LinkedIn, and seeing if you have any questions or comments or anything. I'm absolutely setting aside a good chunk of time at the end to answer questions. If there's a burning question, in the chat, Michelle, let me know if you see a burning question. I don't have the comments pulled up right now. But if you have a question that needs to be answered right away, absolutely. Otherwise, I'm going to push them more toward the end and we can just go through any questions you have. And so make sure you're commenting, make sure you're excited, make sure you're sharing this with the people in your network, because this is going to be a great session. And also, one really cool thing that Building Doors is doing is that they are allowing for a voicemail box that you can call a phone number, leave a voicemail during this event, after this event, at any time, really. and leave a voicemail letting us know your thoughts on building doors, the campaign in general, or about this session or about any session. So that number is 216 307 1917. Again, that's 216 307 1917. And also, by the way, I want to just really quickly say that this presentation is also brought to you by Full-Time Voice Talent School. That's kind of my private community mentorship education site where I help people build a career, a sustainable long-term career in voiceover. I've been doing this since 2012, and there's some things I've learned along the way, including stuff about your website that I share with people in that Full-Time Voice Talent School. So this webinar is kind of a taste of that content. All right, so let's dive into the presentation. Let me just double check that we don't have any. Ariel Delisle, excuse me if I pronounced that wrong. You have also joined. Welcome to this. I'm so excited. All right, so let's get into the meat of this. So you're probably here, and I might be off a little bit, but I think this is probably true for a lot of you. You're probably here because your voiceover website doesn't exist yet and you want to do it right. A lot of you are early on in your career, or maybe you've been working for a while without a voiceover website and you want to do it right. So this is an exciting thing for you, but you want to make sure you get off on the right foot with your website. Or maybe you're here because you checked the old, I need a professional personal voiceover website to be considered a pro voice actor box. You made the website, you had the website made, it's there, boom, you're done, gonna leave it be. Or maybe your website is kind of ugly. It's okay, to be honest. Or it needs a desperate need of a refresh. You know, maybe you just need to kind of update it and make it more modern. Or one of the biggest concerns and one of the biggest reasons you're probably here is because you're not driving traffic to your website. No one's coming to your website. And even if people are coming to your website, you're not converting them from just a visitor to an actual lead or potentially a paying client, or you're not getting audition requests through your website. So that's the goal of this, that we're going to hopefully kind of help you out. If you're any of those people, I think that you're in the right place. So stick around, because we're going to hopefully tackle so much of this and help you improve your website. So who am I, really quickly, and why should you listen to me? So my name is John Lano, like I said before, and like it's listed in the event. I have been a full-time voiceover talent since 2012. I cannot believe it's been that long. It feels like just yesterday. I actually born, raised in Minnesota and lived in the Minneapolis area for many, many, many years. And actually just this past summer, moved to Kansas City to be closer to my wife's family. We have two very young boys, and we wanted them to be my cousins. So we love Kansas City. We loved Minneapolis. You know, it's bittersweet, but we're happy to be here, and the weather is very nice today. So we're not complaining about that. So in 2017, so I had my website made in 2011, 2012 by a webmaster. This was early on in the, I shouldn't say early on, but this was when the tools to create your own website weren't very good, or weren't very intuitive, or were just still, the barrier to entry was a little bit high. And I wanted to focus, on my voiceover business, on my skills as a voice actor. And so I didn't really focus on my website at the time. I just had someone made it. I was, I knew it was important, but I just had someone else do it, didn't think about it. And then around 2016, 2017, I just started getting sick of the fact that I didn't have any control over my website. I couldn't improve it. I couldn't improve the SEO ranking. I couldn't optimize it for, leads that came into the website. I just wanted more control over my website. So in that year, I took the plunge and I basically redid my entire website. I completely rebuilt it from scratch and designed it myself completely, and have been working with it ever since. And then in 2021, that's when I built my mentorship VO education website. That was sprouted through a need to kind of have something of my own that I created. As voice actors, we lend our voice to someone else's project, and I wanted to have something that I was creating on my own, similar to building doors, probably with Christy. Building something. I mean, building doors is an incredible organization, incredible campaign. This having an education VO website, it feels like it pales in comparison to the importance of something like that. But similar thing. Like I needed to create something on my own. So I built my website there. And because of that, because I had so much invested on my own, I knew that I wanted to uh, have these websites work for me. So I implemented website design and ranking best practices ever since, and have just been improving them over the years as much as I can. So also just to give you some numbers behind the scenes on my personal voiceover website, it's voiceovergenie.com. You can pull that up if you'd like. Over the past 90 days, I've had 821 active users. These are unique visitors, so they're not like me going to my website 800 times. It's unique visitors. So that averages out to about 274 visitors per month. And then on my VO education website, over the past 90 days, fulltimevoicetalent.com, that's kind of the main front facing website. Over the past 90 days, I've had 1,200 visitors, which averages out to about 400 per month. So just to kind of give you an idea that I have been able to rank my websites and get visitors to come to my website. And if I can figure it out, if someone like me who doesn't have any website background, completely self-taught, if I can do it, then you can do it too. Part of this session today is just to empower you to realize that you can do so much of this yourself. And I hope you feel that way after today. All right, so today's agenda, let me get a quick sip of water here. So today's agenda, we're first going to talk about how you're thinking about your website all wrong. So many voice actors think about their website in the wrong way, in my opinion, and we're gonna bust that wrong thinking. We're also going to talk about the biggest mistakes voice actors make with their website. There's so many common mistakes on voiceover websites that are hurting you, that are not helping you rank, or just not helping you convert a visitor into a client or into an audition or a lead or whatever. And then a really basic yet crucial website ranking factor that you're missing. It was incredible. Before this session, I went to a bunch of different voice actors' websites, especially people who are interested in today's session, to see if they were doing this one thing. And 99% clearly hadn't really put any effort into this, or don't even know this exists. So I want to talk about that as well. Then we're going to pull up Michelle's website, where she's so kind to let us talk about her website and maybe how we could improve it based on what we've learned today. And then we'll open it up to questions. So get those ready, get those rolling in the chat, and we will work on that. All right. You're thinking about your website all wrong. So let's talk about this, okay? Most voice actors, most well-meaning, talented, good voice actors treat their website like a glorified business card. It is just sits there. It's something that you point to when you need to potential clients, and that's great. I think that's important. It's absolutely necessary in the voiceover world today, but your voiceover website can be more than that. It simply exists just to host your demos and host your recent work, and that's about it. Great. But that's, to me, the bare minimum of what you need to do. The competition in voiceover is fierce. You all know that. And it's more fierce than ever before, especially with the rise of AI. So simply just having a website and not really thinking about it and not really optimizing it the best you can is a missed opportunity. And that's really the bare minimum. Just to have your website, that's the bare minimum to be a voice actor today. Which is why your website should have a purpose. It should have purpose in its layout. It should have purpose in how it's set up compared to the journey of potential visitors who come to your website. Where are they in their buying journey? So you need to have purpose to your website, because your website should be doing some heavy lifting for you. And it's possible to build your website with purpose. Because your website, if you build it with purpose, if you are intentional about how you set it up and design it and lay it out, and the words you choose, and the buttons you choose, everything like that, it helps your website become your number one salesperson, working for you 24/7. That's what felt like I was missing early on in my career, early on with my website, is that it wasn't working for me. It wasn't generating leads. It wasn't generating visitors. It was just sitting there. And I was like, this thing exists 24 hours a day, your voiceover website is just always on the web, it should be working for you. It should be your number one salesperson, besides yourself, of course, working for you all the time. It should be attracting your ideal clients, your ideal visitors. It should be building your lead list, ideally. That's a little more, that's difficult to do, but it should be doing this. And eventually, hopefully, it should be booking you work, or at the very least, getting you auditions through the door, through your website. So, as we think about building your website with purpose, I want you to ask yourself a few questions. Think about these things, have them roll around in your head as we are going through today's presentation. Which buyers specifically, very specifically, are you trying to attract with your website? A lot of people make the mistake on their website of only thinking about, or of making their website appeal to the masses, to every single person. And I don't know if what your experience is with marketing, but the the old saying, and I kind of hate this saying because it's used too much, but the riches are in the niches, right? You need to be specific about who you're catering your website to. So who are you trying to attract? Are you trying to attract explainer video companies? Are you trying to attract industrial clients? Are you trying to attract like be a person who does voicemail systems only? Like, think about who you're trying to attract. At what stage of the production or hiring process are they in when they actually get to your website or your landing page, wherever it is on your website? Are they ready to hire now? Or are they in the, "Oh, I'm just feeling out, thinking about different voice actors, and I don't know what I want yet," or "I don't know if I need a voice actor"? What stage of the buying process are they in? And what do you want them to do once they get to your website? What's that next step? You need to be crystal clear about this. If you're not clear about this, then people are going to leave your website. They're not going to know what to do. They're going to maybe add your website to some sort of Google sheet or some sort of Excel spreadsheet that they can look to later, but give them that next step. So these are just some questions that you really need to be thinking about as we're going along here. All right. So there's also a hidden benefit to designing your website with purpose and for it to become your salesperson. So the number one search engine in the world, and I'm sure a lot of you know this, is Google. And not surprisingly, it's Google. There's Bing, there's YouTube is actually, I think, the number two search engine in the world right now. But right now, Google still is the number one search engine in the world. And one thing that Google sees as a positive factor in ranking your website is something called dwell time. It's they don't they kind of talk about it in different ways when you look at actually how they describe it. But basically, dwell time is how long someone stays on your website, how long someone lingers on your website. Do they go on and then immediately click off? Or do they search something, click on your website, and then stay and then click through to other pages and linger? That's telling Google that your website was the answer to whatever they were searching in Google. That's telling them that, okay, this website has value to whoever's searching here. So we're going to reward them with higher rankings. So the more intentional you are about your design and attracting your ideal customers, the more likely you are for your visitors to linger on your website. And more lingering, more dwell time equals a higher ranking in the search engines. So back to our agenda here. Now we've talked about thinking about your website, how you should be thinking about your website. Let's go over the biggest mistakes I see voice actors make with their website. Let's also check the chat here real quick, make sure there's nothing I need to see. All right, we are good. So the biggest mistakes voice actors make with their website. The first one is you're confusing your visitors. You need to be clear to your visitors when they get to your website. You don't want to overwhelm them with too much information. You don't want to overwhelm them and make them feel confused that you don't have enough white space. White space is kind of that, the blank areas of your website. If you have too much text jammed in there, it becomes confusing and overwhelming for a visitor. There's too many choices for them. So you're giving them all sorts of options for things to click. And that might feel like you're serving them because then they have all of their options in front of them and they can decide what they want, and they know they have all of the things that they potentially could need. The problem with that is then it just becomes information overload. It becomes choice overload. And when there's too many choices, people tend to not make a choice. And it's just too vague. You need to be clear about what you do, who you service, what's in it for the client. So I have a kind of a made up voiceover website here. Um, Mary Voicerson is her name. This is a lovely little stock photo here. As you can see here, though, there's a million things in her menu here. There's a million different social media links here. There's her contact information, which is great, but it's buried within all this other stuff. There's no white space. This is the white space right here. There's no gaps. There's no clear. It's hard to read because this is all squished together. And the text there doesn't necessarily really matter for this, but it's just kind of the feel of it. So the next mistake I see voice actors make with their website is you focus on yourself and not on the client. I love voice actors. I think voice acting is a very unique and special profession, and it takes a special kind of person. We're all kind of weirdos. We're all kind of, you know, courageous people too, to just be willing to go out there. And I think everyone who gets into voiceover has a unique story, and that story deserves to be told. However, when a potential voiceover client gets onto your website, they don't really care about your story right off the bat. They don't really care about you. They care about what you can do for them, what's in it for them. So you talk about why you got into voiceover right away on your website. Voiceover buyers don't really care. They might care eventually when they get to know you and they get to understand you and what's in it for them. Then you can tell your story. Then you can deepen that relationship. You talk about your equipment. Now, there are some voiceover buyers. If your ideal target is like an audio engineer, okay, your equipment does matter. But for the most part, for the vast majority of voiceover buyers, they just want to know that you have good audio. They don't really care about what equipment you have. You talk about your training. That's great. We maybe care about that more as voice actors, but they don't really care what your training is as long as you deliver a good product. And then you just, again, think about what's in it for the client. Going back to this made up website, I changed the language here a little bit. I just have this here. I've always loved making funny voices for my parents, so that's what I do. That's great story, but what does that mean to me as a voiceover buyer? Why do I care about that? That's cool that you did that. Maybe the voiceover buyer used to make voices too. That doesn't mean they're a good voice actor. And then listing your your equipment here. I mean, that's great, but a lot of voiceover buyers are like, what's a TLM 103? What's a Logic SSL2 MK2 Stedman pop filter? Like, they don't know what that is. So really get in the heads of people who are coming to your website and give them the things that matter to them. Another mistake is you force users to scroll. So there's something called the fold on a website. It is basically when you hop on a website, it's like on desktop, for example, you go onto a website, before you ever scroll, before you move your cursor, before you go down on the page at all, everything from the bottom of your screen up is the fold. So you should focus 90+% of your attention, your time, your energy on optimizing that area above the fold, because you don't want people to scroll down. When you force people to scroll down to get to useful information, to valuable information, they're likely going to click off because it's just too much. People don't have much time. So give them valuable information right up top. You put like I said, you put most of your important information below the fold. You create extra steps. When you create extra steps, any additional extra step is another chance for a voiceover buyer to click off of your website, and you do not want that. You put a lot of people put a big picture of their face up top, and that's okay if you're giving context to, and I have my face on my personal voiceover website, but it really matters what the context is with that. A lot of voice actors will literally, when you go on their website, their face pops up and then you have to scroll to actually get to anything. You have a lovely face probably, but doesn't really matter to me what your face is, especially in voiceover. So again, put that attention above the fold. So again, here, this is just a quick example. This picture here, voiceover. Whoa, what does this mean? This is really vague. I don't know what this website's about. I assume that they're a voiceover person. but I then have to scroll to get to any information. All right. So another mistake is poor mobile experience. Your text is too big or too small. So when you pull up your website on your phone, what does it look like? What's the experience for buyers? So many people now use their phone to browse the internet, to do their Google searching. So what's your text look like? How does it lay out for someone who gets onto your website? Is it confusing? Are the buttons misaligned? Is there just some wonkiness going on? The navigation is a little bit messed up. Make sure it's a seamless experience for voiceover buyers when they get to your website. Again, clunky navigation. So we've covered some of the biggest mistakes. These are things we hope you avoid as much as possible. So I want to talk about really quickly this basic yet crucial website ranking factor that you're probably missing on your website. I went to a lot of the webs. So in the posting of this event today, a lot of people liked it and were excited about it. So I went to a lot of your websites. I snuck around and I went to your website and I looked to see if you were doing this one thing. And 99% of you, it appears, didn't really put much thought into this or haven't done this or didn't even know this was a thing. And that's okay. You don't know what you don't know, but it's an easy thing, an easy step one in your kind of ranking journey on top of, focusing on dwell time. So what I noticed was you have no H1 or main keyword on your homepage or your website. A lot of voiceover websites are one page. Well, on that one page, what are you trying to rank for? What are you trying to be found on the internet for? You can check on someone's website to see what their main heading is, because each web page has heading titles. There's an H1, there's an H2, H3. You can go all the way down as far as you want. But these headings tell Google specifically what your web page or website is all about. And so if you don't have a specific H1 or H2, or I guess mostly just the H1, if you don't have a specific thing that's ranking for something that someone's actually trying to search for, you're not going to be found for that search term. So it's just a basic step that you can take to just give your website a little bit of a nudge. Because without it, Google's going to have a really difficult time knowing what your website is about. And you choose the H1 on the back end of your website. Some of you may have someone else controlling your website, so you can ask them about an H1 and ask them to add an H1, a specific, word or whatever you want to potentially be ranked for. Or if you're controlling it yourself, it's not very hard to do. If you need help with this, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to give you some assistance and help you with your website. So this is just an example of that. So this is what it looks like on the back end. It's H1 up here. This is the main heading of your website, H1 back here. So this is just telling Google on the back end, when they're crawling your website, when they're searching through it, this is what your website's about. All right. So I want to welcome in Michelle in here. Michelle, do you want to unmute your microphone?
I will unmute it only when I have to, because apparently I'm having some background noise.
Oh, it's okay right now. It's okay right now. It's just a little, there's just like a little bit of a sound, but it's not. We had some technical difficulties before this, and Michelle has been very good about tackling them. So,
and I never have technical issues.
She never does. She never does. So I was just shocked, and it's classic. As soon as you actually need it in a setting like this, it fails. Without fail, it fails.
For sure.
So Michelle, welcome here. I want to just quickly introduce you. So Michelle, and you can introduce yourself. She's based in the Boston area, and she's a very successful voice actor out there. She has an incredible sound. And what I love about Michelle is that she's built her career on her own. She doesn't rely on, pay to plays and things like that. She's built it through her own word of mouth marketing and through building relationships. And I love that. But I do know that with talking with Michelle, that she hasn't had much success with her website, hasn't really focused on her website. So Michelle, do you want to introduce yourself and maybe just talk about your experience, how your website works within the flow of how you get work and how, you deal with clients, et cetera?
Yeah. Well, like I've shared with you in the past, I I book mostly from people hearing me. So I'm always, so that's been on my mind. Like somebody hears me, like a client will put me, might give me credit in their video or, something. And then people reach out to me. Right. And that's such a blessing and such a gift. And I need more of that. And when I talk to you, it's like, I think you said how many visits you get. I think what did we find out? I had like 5 visitors, and they were probably spam. So it's like embarrassing because I worked really hard to like I have a design background and I love design. I'm very creative, and I designed my whole website myself. I'm proud of that. Worked really hard on it. There's a lot on there, and some of the things I've been told for like SEO is like foreign language to me, and I don't. And they're always like, it's the long game and it's really expensive and stuff. But like you and I have been talking, I'm just trying to find little ways I can have more people find me, because that's really when I book work. When someone hears me, like I have confidence that once they work with me, they'll never want to leave because I treat them like gold. But
Yeah.
it's like once I need them to find me more. I have a YouTube channel, I have a Vimeo channel, I have my website, and there's a lot. I have like 180, like just just a few of my favorite projects on all of those things.
Yeah.
And I feel like nobody finds me. So that's
Yeah.
the
Well, it's great that you have your work on YouTube. Some of my biggest clients have found me through YouTube because I kind of talked about this, that YouTube is a huge search engine for people. So yeah, definitely don't take that lightly, and putting all your work up there and trying to, put some good keywords in there is a useful thing. Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying, trying to get found. So the people who told you that it is a long game, they're correct. It is a long game. But uh, there's things you can do over time that will just kind of continue to give it, an extra nudge. There's little actions you can take, little steps you can take. And I think the biggest thing people should focus on right now is what's that purpose of their website, and then upping the ability for your website to convert. So you say, oh, you maybe only get 5 to 7 visitors per month. Okay, I will say 5 to 7 visitors per month, that could be really valuable. I mean, let's say one person every other month reaches out to you through your website. Um, that's huge. That's something that is not reliant on what you do. It's reliant on just your website working for you. So step one for voice actors, in my opinion, is to just optimize the experience for the few people that actually end up on your website. So let's pull up your website real quick, Michelle, and just kind of go through some things here. So I just have a screenshot of your website, just because it's easier for presentation purposes. So this is Michelle's website. Lovely website. I love the colors. I love your smiling, beaming face right there. That's fantastic. So just as it relates to what I talked about in the presentation, um, the first thing is, does this confuse visitors? Yes and no. I think one thing I noticed as I looked at your website is that there's a lot that someone could possibly do here. I love that your demos are above the fold here. That's fantastic. But there's a lot on the menu here. You have all of your social links here. We want people to stay on your website. If they're interested in your social links, maybe you could have that on your about page, or maybe you could have it at the bottom of your website as after they've already scrolled through. Those are kinds of things that give people, a chance to click off, a chance to go somewhere else. And I will say, and we've talked about this before, I love this quote that you have on your website. Your voice can change the world. I completely agree with that. The bond vote thing that we had for public schools in Kansas City last night is an example of your voice changing the world. However, if I'm a prospective voiceover buyer going to your website, what does that mean to me? I don't know what that means. I mean, I may agree with the sentiment, but like, how does that affect my project that I'm trying to get done here? So I think that maybe focuses on more of your, I know you like to be personal and you wanted to build these relationships, and there's ways to do that. But at the very beginning, when someone doesn't know who you are, you just need to show them that I can be your service provider. I can make a difference for you. I can answer, I can be the solution to your problems, etc. So this kind of thing is a little confusing, and I don't think that's helpful. I will say, just from a design perspective, I love that you're looking over at this. It draws the eye over here. So and I actually used that trick on my website as well. If you go to my website and check that out. So that's fantastic. I don't have it pulled up on mobile here, so I'm not going to talk about that here. But another thing I do want to really quickly look at is your H1, and I want to show people how to look at their H1. So I'm going to, I think, Christy, I'm gonna share a different screen. I'll stop screen and I'll start sharing a window here real quick. One second. I'm gonna pull up Michelle's website because I want to show how you can actually look to see what your H1 is on your website. So let me get StreamYard here. Let me stop my screen. Let me present, share a screen, and we will go to Michelle's website. Okay, now we have Michelle's website pulled up. Let me just double check that everyone can see this. Is it showing? Can you show this? Is it showing, Christy? Oh, there we go. Sweet. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's see what Michelle's H1 is. Let's see what her focus keyword is on her homepage. So what you do is right click, especially if you're on Chrome. Most people use Chrome. It's similar in other browsers. If you don't know, if you are having troubles, you can ask me, or you can just Google how you inspect a web page. So you right click, go down to inspect at the very bottom, open that up, and then it opens up this huge mess of of code language. Don't get freaked out. Um, Go to the search bar. There's a search bar right here and type in H1. Hit enter. Wait a second. I gotta get this out of the way. Wait, here, let's do find. Do control F. So do the find function on this page. So don't go into this filter here. Do control F or command F, whatever it is on Apple. So do find, type in H1, and then you'll see it highlights up here, and make sure you go to the top. Usually it's the top response here. You'll see on Michelle's website this H1 symbol right here. So it's a less than H1 right here. I'm going to click these dots to open this up a little bit to get a look of what it actually is. And then you'll see the back half of the H1 right here. Her target keywords are I bring your stories to life and I specialize in goosebumps. Now, I think that's Michelle's main selling point, and I think that's amazing. But I don't think that voiceover buyers are going to be searching for Google. I find someone who can bring my story to life. They may be thinking that, but that's not what they're going to search. Or I specialize in goosebumps. They're not going to go. They might. It's possible when you do some keyword research and you can see are they looking for someone who gives goosebumps to their viewers? It's possible. But in my opinion, this is not optimized for search. In my research, this is not what people are searching for voice actors. So this is just low hanging fruit that Michelle or you can switch on the back end of your website to rank for something that's actually relevant to voiceover. Does that make sense, Michelle?
Yes, but you had said, I think when you talked, you mentioned maybe changing some, I don't know, that I didn't think that was my H1, but maybe I'm wrong. Like I thought I put in things with like voice actor or something,
Oh,
you know.
you're thinking of your search listing, and I can go into that. We'd have to go to the back end of your website to look at that. But I know what you're talking about. You're talking about your actual listing as it looks in Google.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Yes.
you also mentioned that maybe the goosebumps might, because that is what differentiates me, maybe that would be something to put up top in the circle, possibly.
Yes, absolutely. So I actually, so to exit out of this, so again, this is just a way you can look at this on your own website. Again, if you have problems, reach out to me, send me a DM. I can help you try to find this on your website. So now I'm going to stop sharing this, and I just want to quickly pull up what I came up with for Michelle's website here. Really quick mock-up of just some ideas for what she could do to improve the experience for visitors on her website and potentially help with her ranking as well. The H1, that's going to be the step one for ranking for a certain keyword, but more so just thinking about how to actually convert a visitor into an actual paying client. So let share screen again. We'll go here. All right, and then I'll wait a second just to make sure it goes in there. We'll wait for Christy to pull it up. I put another screen in here, Christy. I know there's like slight delay on the LinkedIn Live, so Just pull it up there. I have the presentation up again. So if you could pull that up on the actual screen. Da, 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 da. Come on, Christy. Well, I see we have some questions here already. I'm excited to tackle those as we get out here. Sheila Smith has a really good question. What's an example of an H1? We'll definitely, I can definitely answer that question. And I can actually just pull up my website and show you what my H. Oh, here we go. We are back. All right. So let me. There we go. All right. So this is Michelle's website as it currently stands. And so I'm just going to show you just an idea of how an idea of what she could do. So I do think that before I show it, I want to point out that I agree with Michelle. She does specialize in goosebumps. She has an unbelievable ability to give a read that feels vulnerable, that feels authentic, natural. She is an expert on that natural read, and truly gives you goosebumps, especially when it's a more emotional and passionate read. So I think that is her superpower as a voice actor. So I think she should lead with that. So here's what I came up with. So as you'll see, took out the social links. Don't need that. We want to lead visitors. I also um, made this a little more compact. Took out some things in her menu to give less options to just not overwhelm a visitor. And maybe you can put some things in your drop down. I know you've got the podcast. I know you added some additional things to your website, Michelle, just recently, and maybe have that in under your about, and then in services. I know you do some screen acting as well. Have that maybe under services, demos specifically. So just to kind of make it as concise as possible to not overwhelm a visitor. And then I know you focus. I had a phrase here when I actually showed Michelle this beforehand, and I changed it because I know Michelle really wants to focus on not being too salesy, I guess, and kind of keeping that personal touch. And so I specialize in goosebumps in quotes here, and that's Michelle. The assumption here is that this is Michelle Falanga, Emmy-winning female voice talent. And as you see here in the background, I also have goosebumps in the background just to drive home that point that, like, if you're a voiceover buyer and you need a read that gives your listeners and viewers goosebumps, this is who you need. So that's really focusing on that end client. And then giving them a clear next step above the fold, right? Get a rate quote or request an audition. Whatever you want it to be, it can be that. And you can, design it in any number of ways. And again, it really depends on the purpose of your website, where you're meeting these buyers in the journey of the voiceover buying. So, and I kept Michelle's face here because I love the line of her eyes drawing your attention to this. It also shows her. It shows, she's a real person behind this voice. It's not an AI voice. We do need to show that we're humans in the world today. This is just an example of that, streamlining that, cleaning it up, and showing, thinking about the buyer in mind. Again, this is just a quick mock-up. There's more we could do, and there's obviously more in the back end you can do for ranking, et cetera, et cetera. But this is kind of what I came up with. What do you think about this, Michelle? What's your feedback on that?
Well, obviously, like the colors and stuff, like I think I would be more interested in putting it into the things that I design with the circles, because that goes throughout the website.
Yep.
And that, I don't know if the inspiration for that was like there's this film company that they always have these clear, like looking through bubbles. It's kind of like that kind of cinematic. I do a lot of cinematic kind of stuff. And so that kind of gives that feel too. So obviously, like, design wise, I would change it to those colors and those feels, but I think it's interesting to take the social off, because I was always told like everything should be up top, like, so they can get to you in every way. But I could move that to the bottom, and condensing, like, will it still give me good like SEO to have all the pages, but just have the drop down on those? Like, it's still, we're still there.
Your menu on your website, it serves two purposes. The big purpose I think you should focus on is user experience, and that's really giving the person who's visiting your website a clear options where they could go next. If they want to dive in further, they can, you know, hover over this, they can go to your services, see what you have, go to your demos, see what different demos you have. In terms of SEO itself, this still tells, especially your like headline things here. This is still telling Google, you know, what pages are on your website. Your menu is still telling Google what's you know, important on your website. Your menu, it affects your ranking, not a ton, but it does. You know, if you're worried about that, you know, getting rid of those and having that hurt you, don't worry about that. That's going to be just fine.
Well, and I also mentioned didn't want to be like, I do a lot other than Goosebumps. I do a lot of other things. So I didn't
Yep.
want to also be like, you know, and yet you said that, well, that's your special sauce, but also you do all this other stuff. So I don't want anybody to be like, oh, she can't do a credible corporate read, which I can, you know, I can do all those things. I can do all the things, but
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
I don't
and
know.
that's, you know, that's the tough line you have to. So here's the thing. Here's the thing to think about. Um, that's why you need to think about the purpose of your website and when people are going to find your website, and you know where they could read. Like, if you want to, you could even have a drop down that says specialties, and then under the specialties, you could say, you know, corporate, or you know, Goosebumps read, cinematic. You know, you can kind of put it create it in any way you want to give them the understanding of what you specialize in as a voice actor. But I do think the point of this to me is that this is your superpower as a voice actor, and it's this is your bread and butter. I mean, the some of your top work is using this kind of read style. And so I chose a lane for your website. And again, you don't have to do this, but if you try to say I can do all the things, that's great. And most voice actors can do a lot of different things. And I think that's important to think about. But I this is to also just drive home the point that, like, lean into what your specialty is, lean into, you know, what will set you apart. Because then if someone's like, okay, I need a voice actor, it's an emotional read, and someone's thinking, who should do this? And then someone's like, well, I have this one person who does all this all this stuff, and they can do, you know, announcer reads, they can do corporate reads, they can do et cetera, et cetera. They also have like a pretty good, like, emotional kind of read. Or do they pick someone like Michelle, who literally specializes in Goosebumps? That is her like bread and butter. That's what she does. They're much more likely to choose you in that scenario. So it's a fine line to be, you know, a jack of all trades, to show all the stuff that you have that you can do, and to, you know, specialize and kind of niche down. So it's, again, think about what people are coming to your website, what they're needing, where they are in their buyer's journey, who you're trying to get to go to your website, how you're trying to drive traffic there. You know, it's basically who's coming onto your website. Does it matter more that they know that you can do everything, or does it matter more maybe that they know that you're specialized in this? So that's, you know, that's kind of the exercise we've gone through here to show this kind of specialization, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Um, someone said they like the real Goosebumps. Yeah. So okay, that is a something I didn't really talk about that much. Um, that is really focusing on the end client. It's focusing on the feeling that someone will get when they watch your or they listen to your voice, or when they add your voice to their project. What is their audience going to get out of what you do as a voice actor? They're going to get goosebumps. So yes, showing actual goosebumps immediately gets someone to think about goosebumps. It may even give them goosebumps, because, you know, goosebumps are sometimes contagious. When you know someone has goosebumps, it's similar to sneezing in a little bit. But when someone says, oh, I've got goosebumps, then you think, oh, do I have goosebumps? And then you might get goosebumps. um so yeah, I appreciate that comment. Any other thoughts, Michelle, before we dive into questions?
No, I mean, I don't think I was clear that that was Goosebumps. I was like, I thought that was just like a color you put in the background. As it, like, for me, I think that I don't know that
Oh,
I would know what that was.
well, that's good to
Um,
know. That's the kind of
yeah,
feedback you should get from people. Like, is
yeah,
it clear that this is Goosebumps?
I,
I
yeah.
thought it was, but if you don't think it is, then we could just get
I
a
had
better
no idea
picture.
that was good. No, and that's what I do. But I do think I don't have a call to action button kind of thing that I could definitely add to the upper fold that I
Mhm.
definitely don't have right now. So,
Yeah.
and again, what you said about moving, we'll talk further because I'm going to hire you to do some of these, like the less of the things. Cause I just added another page, the do good page,
Yeah.
which I love. And it's
Yeah.
such a
I
cool,
love it too. Yeah.
I don't want, that is part of who I am,
Yep.
but yeah, anyways, well, I won't waste any time on that, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's tough because we're so precious about our website, you know, and we really value like what we do and what we believe in. And I think that's so important. And I think that that matters in building a relationship with a potential client. But when you first meet someone, you know, they want to know what they can get out of it, right? And then they can learn about who you are. What's Michelle actually all about? And then they, you know, click on your about and they see, oh, what's this do good thing? You know, it's a whole kind of client journey that you need to really think about as you're kind of designing that website. Um, John, make sure to say your contact info. Oh, yes. Yes. So let me go back to this and I'll go to questions. I do want to say if you want a copy of the slides today, go to this website. I created a special page for building doors attendees today. A special little link for you guys. So if you go to members.fulltimevoictalent.com/building doors, you can download. I'll send you a copy of these slides after our presentation today. So you can have an actual PDF so you can kind of go through and reference this. I know that this is also going to be turned into a podcast form. Christy's going to do that. And there will also be clips throughout social media and all sorts of goodies to still watch this later, especially if you, well, I guess you're here right now, but if you weren't here at the very beginning, you can still watch it later on. So again, members.fulltimevoicetalent.com/building doors. And then if you need help with your website itself, you can email me. Feel free to email me to my Full-Time Voice Talent email, which is john@fulltimevoicetalent.com. So that's john@fulltimevoicetalent.com. And if you go to fulltimevoicetalent.com, you'll see my contact information there. But again, do that, or you can send me a DM on LinkedIn if we're connected there as well. So again, I'll leave this up so people can know where to go if they want to download the slides. Yeah, so okay, let's get to some questions real quick here. Christy, is it okay if I get into questions now? Yes, sweet. Okay, let's see here. Someone asked. Cindy Burns says she doesn't have a website yet, and this is the live she needs. Fantastic. I hope it's been helpful, Cindy. Let me know if you need help, if you want to help designing it and getting it up there. Sheila Smith asks, what's an example of an H1? That is a fantastic question. Let's think here. How do I want to do this? I'll just think here for one moment. So the big thing that you're wanting to do is, let me just explain it. So you're trying to find keywords that people are actually searching for. There's a lot of tools out there that you could use. One that I've suggested before on LinkedIn is ubersuggest.com. You can actually start a free account and do, I think they limit you to the certain number of searches you do per day, but you could go to that website, type in their keyword research tool and type in let's say voice acting. And then you can see what people are searching on Google and see what kind of search results they're what kind of number of people are actually searching those. So the idea is to find a keyword that relates to you, like what you want to rank for, and a keyword that's also actually getting searched for. So let's say that you're Michelle, for example. She is in the Boston area, so her location does matter. She's a female voice actor, and she can decide, she can do some research to see, is female voice actor being searched for? Is female voice talent being searched for? So an example of this, you could literally have your H1B, and actually, let me go back to that slide. And I kind of had that as you could have your H1B, you could have your H1B, your name, and like Michelle Falanga, she could say Michelle Falanga, female voice talent, Boston based or something. There's a lot that I could go into about your H1 and how to structure it. But for the most part, you just get your keywords into that H1. So female voice talent, maybe she wants to rank for that. And she wants to make sure that Boston is also ranked there. Put female voice talent, Boston, whatever. And I will say that your H1 doesn't have to be just like this robotic list of words or something. Your H1 can also just be within an attention grabbing headline in your website, but just make sure that you're including those keywords that you want to actually be ranked for. So your H1 can be a lot of different things. And just to really quickly touch on like those subheadings like H2, H3, etc. Those give context to your H1. They kind of fill in, like, let's say your H1 is kind of like your sketch. Like, let's say it's a sketch of a monkey or something. So it's a sketch of a monkey with a pencil. And then your H2, H3, whatever is giving like context to that. It's coloring in the picture. It's kind of giving a fuller picture of this is what this website and web page is all about. So if you're searching for these things, this is going to be relevant to you. I hope that makes sense. It's a big topic, and I'd love to have a lot more time than this, but I just really quickly just to kind of go over that. And then Marion Mills, I learned the hard way that the mobile version of my website is so important. My website can look great on desktop, but the mobile version won't be aligned at all. Shoot. Well, Marion, if you need help with that, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to help out with that. I'll put up my contact information here again. Please feel free to give me an email and we can get you sorted there. All right. So I want to thank you so much, everyone. It says no info is loading the. Oh, shoot. Cheryl Halling says no info is loading on the web address. Let me just pull up let me test this out here. I tested it all yesterday. I had it all set up. And of course, today, members
Best laid
up.
plans.
Best laid plans for
Yep.
real. Building doors. Member. Mine, for whatever reason, said mine like wasn't secure. So make sure you're pushing past it. I can show you what it's supposed to look like. All right, I don't need to, but it did work on my end. So just make sure if there's like some weird like security pushback that you're actually pushing through that. Try on a different browser. Hopefully it's working on my end. Michelle, maybe you could try to pull it up on your end just while I'm talking here, to see if it works. I can pull it up here, Michelle. Here's the link right there on the screen. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope it's been helpful. So much information packed into a session like this. I know it can be confusing. It can raise a lot more questions than answers. But that's a good thing. You got to start somewhere with your website, and I believe that with time you can get it to rank. You can get people to be reaching out to you on your website, and to really have your website be that number one salesperson for you. And thank you so much to Christy for inviting me today. The Building Doors campaign is unbelievable. I cannot believe how big it's become and how it's growing every single day. I sent this. I have an email list that I send voiceover advice to, and several people reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm so glad you're doing this. I didn't know about Building Doors. What a great initiative, and people are so supportive, and I can't wait to see the difference that it makes in the industry at large." So thank you so much, Christy. Thank you so much for oh, it worked for Michelle. Okay, so it did work for Michelle. So just maybe try again on a different browser if it's Cheryl Halling. So just try it again, and if you have issues, just send me a DM or something. So thanks again, everyone. Christy, I don't know if you want to say something. Otherwise, I appreciate all of your time today, and let's go kick some voiceover butt. All right.
Yay. Thank you.
Bye.